changing what I was eating really impacted my body. It impacted my energy. It impacted my confidence. And it's given me a whole new side of life that I wasn't experiencing before. And now I experience every day.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a great one. Our guest is a health coach and owner of masalabody.com who helps busy women live healthy and feel more confident and happy with themselves. Nagina Abdullah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm excited to be here with you.
It's great to have you, and I'm excited about this topic. I mean, helping people live more healthy, feel more confident, and happy with themselves. Fantastic. And before we get into all of that, please tell us about you and your career journey leading up to this point.
Oh, absolutely. Well, my career journey is that I had started my career as a management consultant. I worked for a top 4 accounting firm and consulting firm in New York City. And I traveled all around the country, and I was a consultant for Fortune 500 and 100 healthcare companies. And so, during that lifestyle, I was working extremely long hours. I was usually sitting for many hours. On my travel days, I would be just darting to get on a plane or get in my car so I could get home. And it was very busy. And, I really struggled with balancing my life. And so, really being able to balance that busy life with the fact that I was also a mom of 2 was something that really kind of just jump-started my health coaching career, because I needed to figure it out for myself. And once I did, I realized it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. And I wanted to share it with so many other people.
Wow. And so how did you went through that? I mean, that's a very busy life. What was the impact on your life as a result of that?
So, yes. So, the thing is, I had actually struggled with my weight and with my eating for my entire life. And then I had tried every single diet out there, from Weight Watchers to Atkins to eating less and exercising more. And nothing really got my weight off. Nothing really got me to a place where I was feeling good in my body every day. And, and so once I started working in this demanding lifestyle and I had 2 children, it was really weighing on me in the fact that I had no energy. I felt tired. I felt like I could be more productive if I had more energy. And when I got home, I just wanted to sleep instead of playing with my children, instead of going on walks, instead of going on hikes. And so I really felt like I was working and then sleeping and working and sleeping, and I wasn't living. And so I realized I had to make a change, if not for just myself, but also for my kids, because I didn't want them to have a life where their mom was always tired, exhausted, and didn't want to do things with them and wasn't even physically capable of doing fun and exciting things with them. And so what happened is that once I started making some really simple but structured changes to what I was eating, I dropped 40 pounds in 9 months. So I actually got to a whole new place in my life that I never got to. I lost all the weight that I had when I had had children, and then went 20 pounds below that. And so I was in the best shape of my life after having 2 kids while working in a demanding career. And it was all because I just made a few changes to what I was eating. It wasn't even so much the exercise, it was more the eating. And what changed for me is that I felt, first of all, so much more confident at work. I could fit into all of my work clothes. I could pick out anything I wanted from the stores instead of having to only look within certain sizes. And when I got home, I had so much energy to go on walks and runs with my kids, go on bike rides. And during the summer, we'd go to the beach and go in the pool, and I would just jump in. And now I feel confidence to go into the water without feeling like I need to sit on the side hide with a cover up because I'm kind of concerned about people looking at me. I actually don't even think about that anymore. And so changing what I was eating really impacted my body. It impacted my energy. It impacted my confidence. And it's given me a whole new side of life that I wasn't experiencing before. And now I experience every day.
Wow. It's amazing. I mean, what a story. And you were working crazy hours, as you've said,
Mm-hmm.
2 kids, sleeping, working, you came to this realization that you knew that you had to change. And I think that's maybe difficult for many people, is to, find the catalyst that's going to make them actually do something different. Was there anything that was going on in your life that triggered that, or was it just that realization?
Well, it was the fact that after I had my 2 children and I was working in my job, I felt like I hit a point where, first of all, it was very physical in that I couldn't fit into any of my clothing. And it just felt frustrating, and it felt really uncomfortable that I couldn't put on my clothes comfortably. And I really did not want to go and buy a whole new wardrobe of a bigger size. That was not something that was appealing to me. I didn't want to spend my money on that. And so, what happened was, one day I was in my family room and my kids wanted to go outside to play, and I had no energy to take them. And I was feeling actual pain in my back because I'd been sitting for so long, a pain that I had never felt before. And I just looked down the road and I thought, what kind of life am I going to have if I keep this weight on my body, because it's causing me pain. It's making me feel kind of like lethargic. And I know that I don't feel as confident as I want to. And so in that moment, I decided I need to make a change because I cannot go on living like this. It's impacting every part of my life. And I need to understand this is a priority, because once I get this weight off, I just have to find the way to do it. I'll be able to feel so much better every single day. And so the number one thing that I realized in that moment was that I could no longer go on diets because they didn't work. I would lose weight and I would put it back on. And what I needed to do was to make this transformation fun so that it could be sustainable. And yes, I said the word fun. Like, yes, I actually wanted to find a way to make getting healthy feel fun so that I would want to keep doing it afterwards. And I would want to keep it up. So what I was seeking was a lifestyle transformation. I didn't want to have a diet because I had already done those and they didn't work for me for the long term and even the short term. And so I knew I needed to make a lifestyle shift and I needed to make it sustainable. And my way of doing that was to make it fun. And we can talk more about how I did that as well.
Oh, fun sounds like a lot of fun. That's what we like to hear. And our listeners are mainly bookkeepers and accountants. They sit at their desks a lot. They do their jobs in front of the computer. Things are virtual. They've been that way for a long time. It's likely not going to change. And so I'm sure many of them are thinking, gee, that sounds like my life, working all these hours, sitting a lot, not having energy. And you've said this can be fun. You also said it wasn't about the exercise, but it was more about the food. I mean, my question is what the heck did you do? I'm sure our listeners, they want to know.
Yes, absolutely. Well, one of the things, one of the main things that I did is that, I started studying all of these weight loss and scientific journals about how to eat healthy to increase your metabolism. And, I have a background in molecular and cell biology from my undergrad at UC Berkeley. And so I was just very comfortable with reading this kind of research, but I had never read it before. I had just followed the diet plans that were out there. And so as I started reading this, I learned that what you're eating is 80% of weight loss. And so I had spent years exercising and sweating and doing so many things, and then I started eating really small portions. And that was actually the opposite of what the formula is to lose weight. So what I did is that I started learning the foods that boost my metabolism, which means that I could literally be losing weight while sitting there, while sitting at my desk. And one of the key things that I did was that I started adding metabolism boosting, flavorful, natural spices to my food. And these were not necessarily spicy. In fact, many of them were actually sweet spices that actually tasted similar to sugar, but they would boost my metabolism and make my food taste good and alleviate my cravings for sugar and for other unhealthy foods. And so one of the things that I found out about right away was that if I add cinnamon to my morning coffee, instead of using sugar or decrease my sugar and just add cinnamon, I would be lowering my blood sugar, which what that means is that you store less fat when you do that. So if you put sugar in your coffee or in your tea or in your morning routine at all, what happens is that your blood sugar elevates and insulin is released, and that blood sugar gets pulled out. Your sugar gets pulled out of your blood and it gets stored as fat. But when you use cinnamon instead, you still get that sweetness on your tongue, which is what we're looking for, but it actually lowers your blood sugar and it helps decrease fat storage. So that was one of the first things I did is I started adding cinnamon to my coffee. And I started realizing this tastes really good. I would also use, I liked to use a sweet creamer. Instead of a sweet creamer, I would use almond milk, like an unsweetened almond milk. And then soon I went to black coffee with cinnamon. And, that one change, it helped to curb many of my cravings that I would have in the morning. And then what I started realizing is that I needed to add more vegetables to my diet. And of course, we all know that we're supposed to eat more vegetables. It's a very basic, it's a very basic lesson in terms of being healthier. But the issue is that many of us, we just don't like the taste of vegetables to get the amount that we need. And so I started making my vegetables tasty. And how I did that was that I would focus on roasting my vegetables in the oven, which means putting it in the oven for 20 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes at 400 degrees, because that would bring some of the natural sweetness out of the vegetables. And I would flavor it with many spices. And some of the spices that I love to use on vegetables are cumin and coriander. Cumin, coriander, salt, and pepper, and maybe a little bit of paprika or cayenne pepper. And each of these has benefits, weight loss and metabolism boosting benefits to them. Cumin actually helps you decrease your belly fat by 30% more than if you didn't use it. And there's multiple studies that prove this. Coriander helps decrease water retention, which means that it decreases bloating in your belly. And cayenne pepper or paprika, it helps increase metabolism and get your calorie burning going. But you don't have to have the paprika or cayenne pepper if you don't like spicy food. That's optional. And then salt and pepper. So I would just sprinkle that on, put it in the oven for 15 minutes and pull it out. And I would have enough vegetables that would last me for 2 or 3 days. And some of the vegetables I would use would be asparagus, which is great for debloating as well. I would chop up bell peppers or buy bell peppers chopped up. I would get broccoli that's already chopped, or I would use like cauliflower or really any vegetables, Brussels sprouts as well. One of the key things is because I was working long hours, I didn't have time to even do something as simple as chopping vegetables. And so it was important for me to purchase things already chopped so that they were easy, and then add spices, which were also easy, and they were time saving, and they were metabolism boosting. So I didn't have to take the time to go to the gym for 45 minutes or an hour and a half a day. I just sprinkled these spices onto my vegetables so that I increased the amount of vegetables I was eating. And as a result, this all led into the direction of me losing the 40 pounds in 9 months. And it's been 10 years since that's happened. And I've kept it off for, I've only gotten more in shape since then. So those are a couple examples. I have so many more, examples, but really making it fun for me was about making my food flavorful. And also part of this was so that it didn't consume my time, making it easy with small little hacks like roasting vegetables, purchasing them already chopped, and other shortcuts that I created over the years.
That's been for many years for people living busy lives it's hard or challenging to eat healthy. And so this is a fantastic way of thinking about making it easy to eat healthy and fun to eat healthy and tasty to eat healthy. And you've given some really interesting cumin, cinnamon, coriander, like these little hacks, if you will. I don't know if they're hacks, but they're ways of going about this. Now, you just made these changes. What about the other parts of your diet, other foods that you're eating? I mean, we've just talked about vegetables. Is that it, that we just eat the vegetables?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So there's actually a framework that I created as I was finding what was working. And it was so simple. It was so much easier than anything I'd learned from doing Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem or any of those diet plans. And I have really done all of them. Instead of focusing on restricting what I was eating, and instead of focusing on less foods, I focused on eating more of the right foods. And so I created a framework which is called the Tested and Perfected Fat Burning Food Framework. And this framework works like magic. And it's so simple. In fact, I am so surprised that I'd never known it before. I just combined all of my learnings from all the journals that I was reading and all the experience I had with losing weight and with cooking. And so what I found was that if the fat burning food framework is that you focus on having what I call protein more for every meal. So for every meal, you have 40 to 50% of your plate be protein. And then you have 40 to 50% of your plate be veggies and what I call tasty veggies, because it's very important that you're enjoying your veggies and that will allow you to eat more of them. Then you have a small portion of your plate be either healthy carbs, which I'll talk about in a moment, or healthy fats. And healthy carbs and healthy fats, they keep you full, they keep you energized, and they don't give you the sugar ups and downs that unhealthy carbs would give you or unhealthy fats. And so you're really focusing on that protein more and veggies, focusing on metabolism boosting spices on your food, whether it's your vegetables only or also your protein. And then and I'll talk a little bit about what healthy carbs and healthy fats are. Healthy carbs are things like they're carbs that don't break down quickly to sugars, because when you eat typical carbs that we're used to, like breads or pastas or rice, they're good for the moment, but you'll find that in about 30 minutes, you'll feel hungry again, or you may be feeling a sugar dip. And you may think that you have natural sugar cravings, but the reason that you're feeling that dip is because you had eaten something in your meal that quickly broke down to sugar and is causing you to want more food, because it's like you feel like you haven't eaten anything. And whenever you eat some sugar, it causes you to want more sugar. So it's like a cycle. So when you can kind of stay clean and have protein, veggies, healthy carbs, and healthy fats, you won't feel that. And so healthy carb examples are things like beans, lentils, couscous, some new ones that I've been working with recently, millet and buckwheat, and also other things like a little bit of quinoa or sweet potato or Ezekiel bread. So these are all things that you can eat carbs, and carbs are also in vegetables. Like, I'm never a proponent of no carbs. It's just about learning what those foods are that keep you full and keep your energy constant for a long time versus the other way that I was talking about. So that's healthy carbs. And then healthy fats are things like, you either want to have a healthy carb or a healthy fat at your meal. So a healthy fat is something like nuts, peanut butter, or almond butter, half an avocado. And when you're having peanut butter, almond butter, just 2 tablespoons. That's all you need. And then also there's a lot of proteins that also have healthy fats in them, such as salmon or eggs or beef. So if you were to do that, all you need to do is that protein, because it already has the fat in it, with vegetables. And so this is a framework that, as I'm explaining it, it's really about real foods. It's not about eating artificial foods or eating small portions. In fact, so many of my clients tell me that they feel so full and satisfied, they can't believe that they're losing so much weight. And it's because when you eat the right amounts of the right foods, your metabolism is boosted. You boost your metabolism and your fat starts melting away. But when you eat less, then your body is just hanging on to any food that you give it and it's storing it as fat. And then alternatively, if you're trying to eat healthy, but then you all of a sudden binge on sugar or on nighttime snacks or on afternoon cravings, then your metabolism will also be very slow because you're giving it a lot of sugar and unhealthy food. So this is really a metabolism boosting framework, and it's based on real food, and it 100% works for everybody that does it.
It sounds, what's exciting about it is that it sounds quite simple. straightforward. You're eating healthy, good food, but as well, you've brought some magic to it with the spices and the way that you do things. I think for me, often, and I'm sure many others, it's like how to prepare it, what to put stuff with, what's going to make this taste good or not taste good. It's cooking, right? With recipes. Did you find that you found certain recipes were good for you, or how did that all look for you?
So absolutely. So the recipes, having some go-to recipes are really important, but I can understand though, like in my lifestyle, it was about, I needed to make things be simple. I didn't have time to cook for hours every day or to plan multiple different meals. And so what I would do is I would use some shortcuts. Like I would use things like the crock pot. I started making what's called sheet pan meals, which is you put protein and veggies on a baking sheet and you just bake it for 20 to 30 minutes and bam, your whole entire meal is done when you use some spices or low sugar sauces. So in terms of recipes, what I did is that I actually revised some of the traditional recipes I grew up with. So I grew up in a traditional Indian family where we did use a lot of spices. And that was why using spices was so comfortable to me. But there were also a lot of ingredients that I used that I learned that I could lean them out and they would be really healthy. And so I started modifying a lot of traditional recipes that were very flavorful. And these are Indian recipes, Mexican recipes, Asian recipes, like Greek recipes. They were all recipes that had flavor and that were something that were a little different than all of the diet recipes that I had tried, because I was like enjoying all the fusion of flavors. And so I created really simplified versions of those recipes I had grown up with and started using tools like sheet pan meals and the crock pot so that I was not standing and cooking. I would just put something in the crock pot, or I would just put something, get it ready and bake it in the oven for 30 minutes while I went and played with my children or while I went and relaxed, and it would be ready. And so that was really key, is that I just took these shortcuts and then created these recipes. Now I have, years of recipes, all in menu plans, all organized, so that many of my clients, they just have a plan of what to do every single week, and they don't have to think. They just follow these simple, tasty, metabolism-boosting recipes. And over time, what happens is that as you start learning new recipes, you start finding 5 to 10 go-to recipes, and they just become part of your regular repertoire, part of your regular routine, and you don't have to think about what to make anymore. So yeah, the recipes are a great way to have a guide, and then it soon becomes even simpler because you know exactly what to make.
So you've created a lot of these recipes through your journeys over the last 10 years, and these are available through your programs. Do you have anything, like our listeners are probably thinking, geez, I'd like to try this. I'd like to, learn more about it. What would be the best way for them to go and try some of this from your website?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, so we have on my website, masalabody.com, I have a free recipe book, which helps you lose your first 7 pounds with 7 proven and easy recipes. And they flatten your belly, help you slim down, and help you drop 2 to 3 dress sizes. These are 7 of my best recipes that I've come up with over the years that my clients love and rave about. And not only do they love these recipes, but their families love these recipes. And they're also very flexible, whether you eat meat, whether you're a vegetarian, or whether you're vegan. I have all options because I have many clients that I help that have all different preferences. And so, yes, that's at masalabody.com. You just go over there and you can click on the Get It Now button, and then you'll get a copy of my free recipe book. And I definitely urge you to try them. They're very, very tasty. And then I have a lot of other resources on my website as well.
Excellent. Well, I'll be downloading that. I will want to be trying these out myself. And I know our listener is likely thinking the same. So that's really exciting for us to try. And there's 7. We get to try 7 new recipes. I mean, that's fun right there. It's just exciting. What I also like about this is you have a background in science, and so you've been doing research. Not only has this been just things you've applied in your life, but you've also backed all of this up with science-based research, which is powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yes, I have science-based research. I have so many sources and articles on my website. So for those of you that do head over and get my book, then you can go to blog and you can just click on blog and you'll see so many articles that share so much background, so much scientific studies that are showing you what's working and what's not working. In fact, I have an article about how to stop eating sugar and lose weight. And I cite so many studies of why the strategies that I share are the ways to get off sugar. And then I also share, I have multiple statistics that show, why certain diets work, why certain ways of eating don't work, and really why a lifestyle change is the best solution for permanent weight loss. It's really not about dieting. It's about actually creating a lifestyle change. And so, yes, everything that I talk about is based in science. Absolutely.
Excellent. Which I think in this day and age with so many different things out there, you want people who have tried and tested, but as well back it up with solid research is powerful. Now, motivation. You did this 10 years ago. You've kept it going. What are the mindsets or mantras that you use and you use with your clients to stay motivated and consistent on this journey?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay. So mindset is such an important piece. I mean, it's actually the most important piece of the health journey because there's, we can follow a diet. We can try to cut our calories. We can try to restrict ourselves, or we can also say that we want to make a lifestyle shift, but things can get sometimes challenging, especially when you're working full time, whether you have children at home or not, just the ups and downs of life. Really, it's very easy to put yourself on the back burner and to say, I just don't have time for this. And nobody's really watching out for you. So a few mindsets and mantras that I talk about with my clients, they're really key because your mindsets, they influence your actions. They influence what you do, like what you're thinking. It influences what you do. And what you do influences your outcome. So it influences how much how happy you are with your body, with your weight, with your energy. And so in order to impact your outcomes, you really have to work on your mindsets. And so, one of the key mindsets that I talk about a lot is this mindset of all or nothing. And I talk about how the fact that it's not all or nothing. And so, all or nothing is something that many, many women have experienced, which is, you wake up in the morning and you say, today's the day that I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be healthy. I want to feel good. I'm going to do it. And you get up and you may have a great breakfast. You may have a great morning and you may even have a good lunch. And then something may happen. Maybe it's in the afternoon. Maybe it's later. Maybe it's around 2:45 where you start feeling the sugar dip and you think, oh my God, I really need a pick me up. I really need something to get me going and to make me feel better and to get me through this day. And so sometimes the only thing that you can think of or that's available is something that is sweet or sugary, like chocolate, a cupcake, or it could be something like chips from the vending machine or something else like that. And you just savor that flavor and the feeling of it in your mouth. And then 10 minutes later, you may start to feel guilt and regret, like, oh my God, I said I was going to be healthy, but you know what? Because I was unhealthy, forget about it. The rest of the day, it doesn't matter anymore. I'll start again tomorrow. And then it's really easy for the rest of the day to say, okay, well, I'm just going to have an unhealthy dinner. I'm going to eat a late night snack because I already messed up earlier today. And so I like, to share this similar story of if you were in a car and you were backing up because you were parallel parking into a spot and you hit the car's bumper, like you just tapped it behind you as you were parking, would you keep going in that direction and keep moving towards crashing into that car? Or would you quickly reverse and go the other way? And so this is really an analogy for the fact that if you eat something unhealthy in your afternoon or in your day at any point, it doesn't mean that you should keep going the same way. In fact, you should turn around and go the other way for your next meal or for your next choice. And so this is where the new mindset that I want to share is, instead of thinking it's all or nothing, like, okay, I either have to be perfect or I messed up completely and I'm going to mess up the rest of the day. Instead, the mindset is it's not all or nothing. I can make the healthy choice. And this is a lifestyle transformation way of thinking versus a diet way of thinking, which is about being a failure or being a winner. Either you're perfect or you are a failure. And that's not the way to think, because you can eat unhealthy foods during your day and still be in the best shape of your life. It's very possible. And so it's really looking at having these choices, and like maybe you needed that sugary snack, or maybe you needed those chips, and maybe tomorrow you can learn from what you did today, and maybe you can bring something healthier with you and have it ready so that you won't be tempted to eat those other foods. So you can learn from what you did, but it doesn't mean that the rest of the day is gone. And so that's one example of a mindset.
I love that. I mean, right there, it's choices. And if you don't have choices, there's no other options, well, what are you going to choose? You're going to go to the box of cookies. If there was a box of cookies or maybe a coffee with some cinnamon, now people have a choice and they have freedom to make that choice. And you've helped educate us as to what those choices mean when we make them. But it's not like we're going to jail if we have a cookie.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't, that one cookie, it's not even going to matter. But if you keep going and having more and more and more, it's also about it doesn't only have to be about weight loss. So that's another piece, is that when we think about making our choices, sometimes we think, well, I shouldn't eat this because it's not good for my weight, or I'm going to gain weight. And, when we think like that, we can often talk ourselves into eating cookies, because we can say, well, what's going to happen is that I'll make up for this tomorrow. I'll be healthier tomorrow. And we talk ourselves out of it. So instead of thinking of weight loss or losing weight or looking or a certain way as the reason for your choices, instead think of the energy that the food will give you or take away from you. And as you become more aware of the energy of foods, you will start to realize that there's a lot of foods that if you eat large quantities of sugary foods, they're going to actually make you have a sugar crash, and you're not going to be as productive for the entire afternoon. And it's like almost thinking, do I have time for this? Like, do I have time to feel unproductive? Instead, how about I feel vibrant and energetic because maybe I had one cookie and then I decided, okay, I'm going to move on to something else, And so it's really thinking about energy and how you're going to feel immediately, instead of thinking about how is this going to affect my weight, because we will talk ourselves out of that every day.
So true. So true. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely amazing. I'm excited to go and get the 7 recipes from masalabody.com. Is there anything else that you'd like to point out to our viewers on your website?
Oh, well, I actually am so excited to share that I have created a special resource and a special bonus for those of you listening to The Successful Bookkeeper. And so this is and I'm going to give you a special URL. This is my sweet spice cheat sheet, where I talk about the sweet spice that you can add to your day. I talk about the benefits of the sweet spice. I talk about 5 no-cook options that you can use to add it to your day. And then I also share a delicious belly fat burning tea, which is called fire tea, because it fires away your belly fat, that you can have at night if you're feeling cravings. You could have this fire tea instead of other things that you might be craving, or you can have it throughout your day as well, in the afternoon or anytime. And so this is my sweet spice cheat sheet, and it's available at masalabody.com/bookkeeper. So BOOK keeper. There's 2 Ks there. And so this is available. And once you grab this cheat sheet, you'll also become part of my newsletter list, and you'll also get my recipes, the 7 spicy recipes to melt away your first 7 pounds. You'll also get that, and then we will be connected. And I would love for you to reply to any of the emails and let me know, that you found me here, and let me know what your goals and challenges are so that we can be in contact.
I love it. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm going to be the first, because I'm recording this episode and I get to it first. masalabody.com/bookkeeper. And I can't wait to have fire tea. That sounds so exciting. It's like often at night I'm thinking, gee, I want something, I'm cool, or it's like a fire tea. Oh my goodness. I can't wait. That sounds awesome. Nagina, thank you so much for coming onto the show, generously sharing your story and some of the resources that you've created over your journey of basically living more healthy and having more fun. And I'm excited for our listener to take some of this information, put it into their life, and what that might mean for them, for their families, and for the people that they work with.
Oh, amazing. It's been so great talking with you. Thank you so much.
It has been our pleasure. And so with that, we will wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.